We have Audra Diggs. Audra is a real estate broker and founder of Ivy Partners. She has a strong niche in working with real estate investors, which actually added an additional $4 million in her sales last year on top of her regular retail business. So, Audra, thank you so much for joining us today. We're excited to hear what information you've brought for us. The floor is yours. Go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Haley. Hi, guys. Like Haley said, I'm Audra Diggs with Ivy Partners. I'm a broker and also an associate broker. I'm also a certified mentor. I've had my real estate license for about 15 years, but just recently in the last couple of years decided to pick it back up full time. And since primarily working with investors since 2016, I've done over $33 million in sales and closed on over 200 houses. So I was invited to chat today, talk with you guys about working with investors. It's a very fun job for me. I enjoy doing it. And I think for my investors that are listening in right now, whether you've done your first investment property or you haven't quite yet made that plunge into the investment world, I think that the key for you to becoming more successful as an investor and building your portfolio is grabbing an investor agent. And for those agents that are listening in, I think it's also going to be important for you to listen because you can grab an investor client, which is going to be super helpful for you. The reason why I enjoy working with investors and some of the perks is it's just steady business for me. My investors are hungry. They have a big appetite. They're ready to do deals at a moment's notice. And so for me, that ends up being anywhere from 30 to 50 deals a year. So it doesn't matter like what the season is, what time of year, even if we're in the midst of a pandemic like we are now, I've been super busy. And for me, that's a great thing. I love doing a lot of deals. And so that's personally why I like working with investors. Also, repeat business. How easy is it if you keep working with the same clients over and over? They get to know my work ethic, my characteristics, my personality, and on the same side, working with the same clients over and over again, I know exactly their criteria, what they're looking for. It's easy to work with investors and have that repeat business in those clients. And also, who doesn't love having referrals? As big as the market is here in Houston, where I live and work, there are so many investors that are out there looking for properties. I find that it is a fairly small community. So I'm lucky and very fortunate that some of my best investor clients also refer me to their friends who are investors as well. And it's nice to be able to help them buy and sell their properties. There's not a lot of competition when it comes to referring them out to me. So I gladly take any referrals. Okay, so like I was just saying, for you investors that are listening in, I think that the key to your success and building your rental portfolio or your flips is going to be finding an investor agent. Okay, it's simple to do. You just have to follow a couple of my tips and you're on your way. Now, what do you want in a real estate agent? You want somebody who has experience, who's a super agent working for you, has a ton of market knowledge, is a confident negotiator, and also has a lot of integrity. Experience is key. As you guys know, practice makes perfect, right? Repetition, repetition, repetition. And so for me, being an investor agent, this is something that I became very familiar with. Doing multiple investor deals after investor deals is just learning. So if you're an investor out there and you're looking for an agent, ask your agent these simple questions like, have you ever worked with investors? Yes, I have. I work with many investors. How many deals have you closed? 200 deals. What sets you apart from any other agents? Me. Okay. I am an agent that loves working with other agents. I am there to make the deal work for my clients. And that's what sets me apart. Also, and my clients, I think, can vouch for this, and I think they know this about me, is that I rarely take no for an answer, especially once we're under contract. So I literally have brought deals back from the dead that we thought were going nowhere. And that's what sets me apart from other agents, is that I rarely take no for an answer. And the last question that I think you investors need to ask an agent that you're wanting to work with is this your full-time job? Absolutely. This is my full-time job. I think an investor agent has to be willing to make this their full-time job. I know there's a lot of agents out there who just do it part-time or maybe just helping friends and family or even for themselves, and that's completely fine. But in the investor space, and again, here in my market in Houston, it's super competitive. A lot of the investment properties are vacant. They have very motivated sellers. And so we have to be ready to go any day from Monday to Sunday to look at these properties and be able to get these deals for our clients. And any of these properties that are actually deals aren't going to last long. So you've got to be ready to commit to this full time. I think that with an investor agent, we are in this investment space all the time, right? So we are very competent in knowing the inventory days for these areas where our investors are wanting us to search. Inspection reports gurus. Give me an inspection report. I can skim through it quickly. I can let you know what some make or break deals are, things that maybe other agents may think are a big deal necessarily aren't the case with investors, right? They know going into these properties that they're going to have to do some work to them. So some things that show up on the inspection reports may necessarily not be deal breakers in the investor world. Also, we're very familiar with rental comps. Again, this is part of how we're able to help our investors and our clients make money is by giving them the correct rental comps. Also, we are pretty savvy at knowing what average sales prices are in these areas we're working for our investors, and also areas, amenities, or developments going on. I know that one of my investor buyers recently in the past year is really going towards purchasing coastal properties. They're really heavy in the Airbnb for beachfront properties. So for me, I had to get very familiar in working with this location so that I know when I'm contacting those listing agents and making offers that I am telling them, hey, I need you to accept this offer. We need this deal for my client. But also, I've got a 60-day or I've got a 90-day close, which is a long time. However, I have to explain to them that the reason why is because maybe the appraisal times are long. And this is due to, again, appraisers maybe not wanting to venture that far from their homes to do these properties. Or they may have a lender that requires a population of a certain amount of people for them to do an appraisal in those certain times. So being very familiar with your location and your investors' needs and wants is going to be very beneficial for them and also for you. Also, I know in this certain area, I've got to contact the title companies. And along with having the survey ordered, I also let them know like, hey, let's get an elevation certificate ordered at the same time. Well, why? This is number one, saving money for my investors by ordering both of those at the same time. And two, it's actually could be of benefit to my investors once they receive that elevation certificate back, and they could potentially be paying less in flood insurance premiums. So again, just being in the investor space, being in the location is of benefit to an investor to work with an investor agent. Some of the qualifications that I think are necessary when you're out there searching for an investor agent is making sure that your agent, like myself, is transparent with you at all times. We come into a lot of sticky situations, and I can't be scared to let my clients know what's going on while also doing the right thing for them, having their best interest, and going above and beyond duty. I'm not sure how many of you are aware, but investment properties are no joke, right? They're typically abandoned properties. They typically aren't cared for. They're basically properties that nobody else wants except for my clients, which is a benefit to me, right? But you have to have an agent that is willing to go into these homes, take a look at properties that may be hoarder properties, that may not have flooring. I've recently went into a property that literally didn't have a roof. So you've got to have an agent that's willing to go into these less desirable properties. Also, not beautiful homes, right? But we've got to be able to see the forest through the trees and explain to our clients that this is what the house looks like now, but later on, the house is going to make you a lot of money. And so for me, that's a plus. If my investor is purchasing a property and at the end they're going to be making money, then guess what? My investor is going to be wanting to purchase more properties, which means I'm going to get more work. So these are very important qualifications to look for when you're looking into working with an investor agent. I would say that investor agents, we do have a lot of tough talks, right? We are constantly negotiating that list price. I cannot tell you the last time I paid a list price for one of my investors. You know, the name of the game is to try to get the lowest purchase price for your investor. This is how they're going to maximize their profits. This is how they're going to make the most money. And it actually makes you look like a better agent too. So you're constantly going to be negotiating with the other agent, pointing out negatives of the property, explaining to them why you need concessions for your client who's an investor who generally has money, why they need money for closing cost, okay? You're going to be jumping through lots of hurdles, over hoops, dealing with lots of delays. I can honestly tell you that most of my investors and their properties that we get under contract rarely are executed, and then we show up at the closing table weeks later. I honestly wish that I could have a layup every now and then and have a property that was easy, but that's typically not the case. So I am constantly talking to the other agents to get their sellers to negotiate a less sales price at the end of the day, or possibly even extending out contracts, you know, an extra 30 or 60 days, just depending on what's going on. And I know that it's very important for me to do this for my investor, because at the end of the day, this investor is not living on the property. Okay. They are not emotionally invested in this house. They're not bringing in furniture. They're not, you know, visualizing where they're going to put pictures on the wall and where they're going to enjoy, you know, nights outside in the backyard. This is strictly a business for them. And it's strictly a business for me to make sure that I am constantly striving to overcome any hurdles or any delays so that we get to the closing table. Because again, the object of an investor agent is to work for their investor, to make sure that they are purchasing these portfolios or these houses to put in their portfolios so that they continue to use you as an agent. Okay, investor agents, like what else do we do? I wish that our job was just as easy as scheduling an appointment, showing up at the house, opening the door. Hey guys, do you like this? Are you ready to put an offer? Unfortunately, it's not. But the good thing about working with investor agents is that we have access to a lot of off-market properties. We have a lot of access to upcoming properties. I even work with a lot of investors now who get into a deal and maybe want to assign the contract or wholesale it. So working within the investor community allows me to have access to maybe other properties that traditional agents wouldn't, or that aren't necessarily on our MLS. Also, investor agents are knowledgeable regarding investor rules. So like I know Jennifer, who just spoke, has helped me many times with this. Knowing these investor rules is really going to help your investor be able to maximize their profits. I'm not sure if any of you investors or agents out there who are listening right now know that if your investor has a flip property, that there are certain rules based on the time frame of how long they've had this property before you can accept, let's say, an FHA loan. So being knowledgeable with these rules actually helps your investor not waste time, maximize profits, and they're able to potentially execute a contract and close sooner with that agent knowing these rules versus, again, having to wait 60, 90 days, things like that, if you were to accept a contract that's actually not acceptable. Investor agents also have connections to other real estate partners. So I work with a lot of lenders who love working with investors. They're able to put them in the right fit, whether it be a traditional loan, a private money loan, or even a hard money loan. So I've got all of those lenders at my fingertips and can provide, you know, those recommendations as needed. Also the same with title companies. I work with a lot of very investor-friendly title companies. As you know, most of these properties do require a lot of work to clear title. Most of the properties, might not be the most expensive properties. So we love working with those title companies that don't mind doing a little extra work. I'm usually doing a little extra work as well. So I love a title company who's ready to reply to an email or a text and help me make sure that we're actually getting to the closing table. Also working with vendors. So we are in this investment space. We are around a lot of contractors and things like that. So it's nice to be able to refer if your investor needs a recommendation for doing a rehab on a rental. Okay, I can give you a recommendation of a great company that I know that specifically works on investment properties. And then also investor agents, we've got some thick skin. We're quick thinkers, we're problem solvers. And again, this just goes back to the nature of dealing with investment properties, that they aren't always the easy properties to work for, but you've got to constantly be thinking of ways to hold these deals together, because when these situations arise, you've got to be able to think quickly so that you don't lose the deal. By this time, your investors likely put down earnest money, they've paid for inspections, surveys, appraisals. So you don't want them to actually lose money on these deals that you're helping them with. You want them to actually make money, because again, the more deals that they're making money, the more properties they're wanting to buy. And then you're there to step in and help. So I think the key for you investors listening is for you to find a good investor agent that you can continue to work with and is going to help you grow your portfolio. Okay, now I'm going to change gears because I know there's also a lot of agents that are listening in. And I think the reason why you guys joined us today is to find out all the tips and tricks with working in and around the investor and investment community. And so I think that there's a lot of investors, actually I know there's a lot of investors here in my market and everywhere who are wanting to purchase properties. So let's help find you an investor that is going to be one of your clients. Okay, so the question would be like, number one, where do I find these investors? First of all, word of mouth, your internet leads. You've got to be able to tell your friends, your family, whoever your network of people is that you're around, let them know what you do. Even your neighbors, let them know, hey, I'm a real estate agent. Hey, have you guys ever thought about purchasing a property as a vacation home, renting it out? Hey, Mr. Investor, you're coming up on your retirement. What are your plans? What do you want to do? Your neighbor may actually inherit a property from one of their family members in a estate. They don't want it. Guess what? That's the perfect opportunity for you to jump in, list that property, and you're on your way to building your investor clientele. Also, the MLS. Wherever your local MLS is, you can actually go to the solds. And most of the time, these solds are going to be cash solds dealing with investment properties. So go back, do a little digging, do a little research, and you can find those cash buyers are typically associated with a company or with an LLC name. Google that company name, find out their address, find out their telephone number, and then do a cold call, right? We've all had to do them. I know they're not typically the best, but these are ways that you can find investors. Call them up. Ask them, hey, do you guys have an interest in purchasing additional properties? I saw you bought 123 Main Street. Is there any assets that you're looking to sell? This is a way that you can grab an investor, because at the end of the day, these investors want to buy properties, right? So if you can become their agent, it's going to be a great relationship. And also networking. Like Matt said earlier this morning, go to those investor hangouts. I know it's not the greatest time right now, but once we're able to start up with all of the networking events, go to those, attend those realtor get-togethers, go to the title company parties. I've been to many parties that Jennifer has hosted, working, with her team many times. Go to those. There's investors everywhere. These are where you can find your resources, find connections, and be willing to step out and say, hey, I'm able to help you. I'm wanting to work with investors, or I'm actually able to work with investors. This is going to be the best way that you can find some investors. Remember, your goal for finding these investors is to ask them questions, find out exactly what they're looking for, interview them, ask them tough questions, find out what their needs are. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that claim or want to be investors. But if they're not actually pulling the trigger on those properties and they're wanting you to do all the work for them, they might not actually be an investor that you want as your client. So ask the right questions. Don't waste time, because we all know that finding buyers, doing the due diligence, and finding the work is a lot of work. It is a lot of time, and time is money, right? Okay, so you're going to be asking your investors that you talk to, what are the questions like you're asking them to find out if they're really an investor? Location. Okay, is there a specific zip code or area that they're looking in, a neighborhood? What is their strategy? Are they looking for a flip property, or are they looking for a rental property? What is their type? Is your investor looking for single family homes? Is it multifamily homes? Is it even a lot so they can develop? Find out their price range. This is very important. You don't want to be looking for properties in the $300,000 range when your investor is only willing to purchase a property in the $100,000 range. Also, find out their appetite. Like, how many deals are they willing to do? Is it just one at a time? Are they willing to send you out with 5 or 10 offers? And the last question I would ask an investor once you're speaking with them is to find out their temperature. I think personally, this is probably one of the most important questions you can ask them. You want to find out, hey, Mr., Mrs. Investor, I found the perfect property that meets your search criteria. I've got the offer ready. Are you ready to sign? Their answer should always be yes, right? They're asking you to do the work for them. You found it, so they need to sign. I would say if their answer is no, possibly move on to your next investor or client. Okay, so you found your investor, you know their search criteria, you're going to be finding the properties for them. So you want to match the investor with the type that they're looking for. Is this a flip property, or is this a rental property? Okay, remember, our flip properties are going to be properties that are going to need some upgrades, they're going to need some renovations, but these are properties that your investor's purchasing, they're going to renovate, and then they're going to be making money when they resell it. And then we have our other investors who are there for rental purposes. So these are properties when purchased and made ready. They're going to match them with tenants, and they're going to be income producing for your investor. So you want to find out which one you're looking for. And as agents out there, your first question is, okay, my investor wants a flip property. What do I offer? You've got to pull up your comps. You've got to look at the houses in that specific neighborhood, in that area, that have the same number of bedrooms, the same number of bathrooms, the same stories or year built, right? You've got to come up with a price of houses that are selling in that area. You also have to find out what the ARV is. So this is the after repair value. So what are houses that are fixed up selling in this particular location? This is very important. How much is the rehab? Do you know? Take a look at the pictures on the MLS. Ask the listing agent. Go walk the property. Most of the investors that I walk properties with can go in and have a really good idea of how much the rehab is. If you're an investor and you don't know, that's completely fine. Take a contractor with you, but you need to have a good idea of how much this property is going to cost you so that you can figure out if it's going to work. And this is also a time where you're going to find out if this property is going to need the bells and whistles. Again, agents, you've got to check the comps. If the houses in this neighborhood that your investor's doing the flips have stainless appliances and upgraded counters and flooring, then your investor's going to need to match that with the same upgrades. Okay. If you are working with an investor who is interested in rentals, again, in order to figure out what you need to offer, you've got to run the comps. Okay. You have to run similar properties that have the same upgrades and updates in order to come up with a purchase price. This time, instead of finding out the after repair value, you're going to be looking at the rental rate. Okay. So how much does this house rent out per month? And how much is it going to cost to get this house made ready? Again, walk the property, look at the pictures on the MLS, ask the agent. and find out if these houses need just standard finishes like most rentals do. Maybe they just need Formica countertops, or maybe they just need carpet in the bedrooms. Again, check those other comps. And please let your investor know that by them upgrading, a rental is not going to make them any more money. So tell them to save their money and put that towards the next purchase that you can help them with. Okay, the third thing you're going to do once you have your investor, you have your property, you're going to analyze your return on investment. You have to find out for your investor, is this a deal for them? Is this not? Remember, your investors are going to have to figure out how much money they have to bring in order to close. So they've got to figure out the purchase price plus the rehab in order to figure out if this is going to be a deal for them. Okay, on the flip properties, your investors are going to be looking for equity in it. Just a quick math, just keep it simple, is to take the ARV, the after repair value. You've got to subtract the purchase price and the amount of the rehab, and whatever's left over is going to be your equity after you paid off your mortgage. And for the simplicity of all of commissions, closing, is going to be that final number that your investor is going to make on their flip. Now, if your investor is looking at purchasing for a rental, then they're going to be looking at the annual income for their investment that they're getting from renting it out. So again, just simple math to keep it easy. You're going to take the annual rent and you're going to divide it by the basis, which is the purchase price less the rehabs. And you're going to come up with a percentage. Again, talk to your investors. Everybody has a different strategy. Everybody, of course, wants the most return, the most equity, but talk to your investors and see what their strategy is when they're wanting to purchase these flips and or rentals. Okay, the last thing is presenting these potential deals to your clients. So you found your investor, you found the perfect property, you've run the comps, you've analyzed the deal, you've put the offer together. Hopefully, your investor signed it. You are now an investor agent. Congratulations, you've done your deal. Keep going with that, and you have become an investor agent. You are now helping investors. Remember, and I will stress this to you, is that all you need are a few investors to stay super busy and to be successful. So keep working on building those relationships, working on gaining your industry knowledge, your credibility, and being loyal. Investment properties, are they challenging? Absolutely. But they are rewarding and they're fun. Every deal you do is not boring in the least. And for me, it's quantity over quality. So again, working with a lot of investment properties just keeps me busy. It's deal after deal after deal, which is what I enjoy doing. And I think if you enjoy the same thing and you can find an investor, then you're going to be very lucky and you're going to be very profitable in your real estate endeavors.
All right. Thank you so much, Audra. Yeah. Before I chime in, go ahead and share your contact info.
Oh yeah. So lastly, I just put up my contact info. You can reach me at any of the social media channels, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Again, if you have, I'm not sure what my time is. I just started talking. But if you have any questions, go ahead and post those there so we can try to answer them.
Yeah, definitely drop your questions in there. Tons of experience and value over the years that Audra has. So definitely ask your question. So this is the one thing, this is directed out to, because we got like 1 minute. This is directed, Audra, in the context of the agent and the value of repeat clients. So just rough ballpark, over a period of a year, how many leads that turn into that actually you close? How many leads would you say you convert from just a listing that has nothing to do with that listing, but it happened because of it? Maybe it was a buyer that just came in that was unrepresented. Someone called off your yard sign. Right. Neighbors got a house to sell. Just rough ballpark.
Yeah, actually, this just happened last week. I have an investor's property listed for sale, and the buyers that were coming were unrepresented. And I actually showed him the property and he wasn't interested in that particular property, but now I'm working with him to help him find some other investments. So I would say 1 out of 10 or 15 showings.
And you're dealing with repeat guests, repeat clients that you didn't have to spend extra marketing on.
Right.
And every single property that they have you list is now a huge billboard with your name and your phone number on there, out there generating new business for you.
Yeah.
And I think agents truly undervalue the value of repeat business, how easy it is to nurture those, because they'll get all wrapped up on a lot of times agent or investors, they want a little bit of a break, a little bit of discount. It's a volume discount. It makes sense. Like calculate that referral business, like think long-term here.
Yeah. Right. And that's up to the individual agent, right? If they want to structure or things like that. But again, most of the work I do is quantity over quality. So I love repeat business. Like you were just saying a minute ago, and I said earlier, it's the easiest, right? And it's a big form of flattery, right? If you just keep working with the same clients over and over, it's less work that you have to do. I mean, they already know who I am. They know what I'm about, and vice versa. I know who they are and exactly what they're looking for. So it's easy.
Well, you do a great job. That's why they keep you keep your pipeline full. Appreciate the amazing content, Audra. It's been nice getting to know you over the years. Thanks.
Yeah, and again, feel free to reach out to me with any questions, and I'm available. Just email me, shoot me a message, and I hope to see some of you investors soon. Love to work with you. And agents, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.